Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the CBL X's and O's podcast for season 2023. Got Beck McIntyre from the Horsham Hornets, and we're sitting down today to review what was the epic semi-finals in the Southwest Conference. And bit of an upset in the women's side of the competition, Beck, with the number one ranked Mermaids going down to the fourth place Lakers. There was an interesting result to see.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been saying that Warrnambool has been one of the top teams all year, and they still obviously are a great team because they're able to bring it on any given day just with their depth and quality that they have. So I was quite surprised to see that they went down. It looks like, Mount Gambier's come out and ready to play, and, Tennille Humans shot 28 points and, led the way for them. So yeah, it was definitely a surprise. I can say that 20 and by 27, you think it might be close potentially with an upset, but Mount Gambier look like they've just led the whole way. Yeah, so I could imagine that wouldn't have been what everyone else would have expected too.
That's it. You look at the scores from the end of each quarter, and Mount Gambier set the tone the first quarter to be up by 9 to 10 points, and then it was really their second and third quarter where they set their dominance, winning each of them quarters respectively by 10 and 11 points. So they really set up a good lead, I guess, at three-quarter time, which meant they were going to run out the winners of the game. And you look at the stats, Mia Mills shooting 14 points, didn't score in the second half. Interesting from the Mermaids because, obviously the Lakers must have put the guard on her and stopped her for the second half.
Yeah, and looking at Mount Gambier, like they ended up with two girls fouled out, one of them being Tennille. So, wondering what point that happened in the last quarter because she still managed to shoot nearly 30 points for them. So, other than that, though, you go down the list, there's, Nikisha Facey with 13, and then it drops right off. So, effectively, Mount Gambier has been led by two players there. And, Mia Mills has been, probably the most predominant guard in the conference for the season when she's been able to play. So, that is hard. I mean, you're looking at normal scorers and contributors for Warrnambool. Matilda Sewell's a fantastic, quite forward player. Like she's a 3-4, and she always generally scores 20 points a game, around that 15 to 20 points. So she was held to 5. You've got Molly McLaren just with 1. So look, I could imagine that Warrnambool would be disappointed with that. And it's kind of always hard at this time of the year, especially if they haven't been training, because it just depends. I know with my girls, like our shooting percentage is, terrible, and that's purely just because they haven't had the reps up. So interesting to see, how that's kind of gone for all the teams. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. And Mount Gambier coming from 5th, effectively, then slotting into 4th, have now got themselves a grand final berth.
We did say, I guess, last week on the pod that they're the informed team at the moment. So they were coming in potentially as the underdogs, but the team that was potentially going to make the upset this week.
Yeah, absolutely. And they have, been on that run as Mount Gambier tend to do, because not always do they, take all their players to their away games as well. So, heading to, the business end of the season, they've definitely stepped it up a level. And yeah, I'm looking forward to see how they'll perform next week in the grand final.
And let's take a look at the other game. Portland took on your team, the Horsham Hornets, and it was a really close tussle by the looks of things for the first half. And then, unfortunately, Portland just obviously ran over the top of you guys. And Alana Strom shooting 19 points is set the tone for the Coasters.
Yes, well, obviously, unfortunately, I won't be winning a CBL championship this season, but luckily I was managed to get a national championship on Sunday. So unfortunately I wasn't able to be there because I was at nationals, but my being a part of the Victorian women's team that did win the national championship was pretty special. But disappointing for my girls. Obviously we've said Portland's a great team. I've talked about how good Alana Strom is all season. So I'm so glad that we hadn't played her before. So both times we played Portland, she actually wasn't on the team for those 2 games. So having a look at, what's happened, chatting to the girls and obviously chatting to Fitzy, it was, we did keep up with them for probably half the game. They ran away a bit after second half. So, it looked like it was a good, strong, physical type of game. We ended up with a couple of our starting 5 girls getting fouled out. I think that probably ends up hurting us in the end. But, you know, like for us, like we've talked about it, you know, Portland's been one of the top two teams all season. So it is good to see them come through. They've been very consistent. They've got lots of depth through their guards. You know, when they sub in, they've got, you know, Barr, Jennings, absolutely, you know, really rate Heidi Jones too. I think she is a just someone that comes out of nowhere, and you know she puts 10, 12, 15 points a game on the scoreboard. So you know, matching that up with Alana Strom, you know, and a couple of their other, you know, bigger girls, then you know they're three or four girls, they're tall ones, then they're going to be hard to beat. So it's looking like it'll potentially be a cracking game against Mount Gambier, especially with Human in form, and yeah, see what happens.
That's it. Certainly will be. So Portland go on to take on Mount Gambier this coming weekend in the Southwest Women's Conference Grand Final, which will be exciting to see up at Horsham Basketball Stadium. Now let's have a look at the men. We had Warrnambool travel to Mount Gambier to take on the Lakers, and they went down by 12 points, but it was probably the second quarter where Mount Gambier really stood tall. 26-7 in the second quarter, which I guess put the dagger in the Seahawks. Then the remainder quarters have all been within 1-2 points. And Tom Daly obviously continuing his fine form, shooting 21 for the Lakers, helped them across the line.
Yeah, look, I mean, I think what was it, 20 points. So, you know, we knew that Warrnambool were going to have their work cut out for them. The Lakers have, you know, asserted their spot in the conference with finishing on top and obviously coming through with some big wins towards the end of the season. But look, I think that Warrnambool will have to be happy with that. They have been in form coming into the finals. We've talked about that. They've got some great youth there, like some of those younger guys. You know, obviously are going to play a big V season, and you know, coming back into a CBL season back to back. You know, it's really good for them to be able to have that ability to run that. And yeah, I've loved watching the Warrnambool team, you know, just get better and better every week. So, you know, they snuck into finals. They probably obviously would be disappointed with the loss, but you know, there's lots for them to look forward to moving forward, especially then coming into, you know, a strong big V season and then backing that up with another CBL season. So yeah, it's going to be a ripping game this week. You know, I'm looking forward to, you know, seeing the women and men's grand final, and unfortunately it is at Horsham, but you know, Mount Gambier have got all the big guns, haven't they? Daly, DeWitt, Burkfield. So, you know, Simon Burkfield is great. I rate him highly. You know, experienced, you know, fantastic shooter, makes the play, you know, runs the team, backing that up with, you know, Daly and DeWitt. You know, it's a pretty strong three. And then they've got, you know, all the rest of their players as well. Yeah, it's going to be a tough game.
You go down the list from the weekend, and there's 6 of them in double figures. So, you know, there's a little bit of depth there for the Lakers that they're going to bring. And obviously that was probably the difference between the Seahawks and the Lakers on the weekend.
Yeah, look, Warrnambool only managed to get a couple of them into double figures, but yeah, no, definitely. And I think their experience, you know, like Ellie's a massively experienced basketball player, you know, with all the stuff that he's done. And, you know, in Burkfield, obviously they played last year. DeWitt, they were in the championship team last year. So, you know, they've just got amazing ability to have youth and experience together, which is what we know is what it takes to win championships.
And we'll take a look at the other game, which was Horsham taking on Portland. And this looked like a cracker game. It turned out to be 7 points, the difference in the end. But I guess the first half, I should say, Horsham got out to a bit of a lead. First quarter was 27-23, second quarter 21-14. But to Portland's credit, they come back. You know, the last quarter they shot 24-18. So they were having a red hot crack. And I guess for Horsham, it was good to get their first win against Portland for the season when it mattered.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, once the girls lost, unfortunately, the pressure was on the men because going to host a home grand final with no teams in it, that doesn't always sit very well. So, look, I mean, you know, I think Scotty and his boys have been one of the top teams all season. You know, they've proven that, you know, they've been up there. Fortunately, Portland was just a team that was able to beat them twice. So, look, they had redemption written on their walls. They were ready to come back. You know, and they wanted it so bad. They knew that, you know, they had the opportunity to come and play in front of a, you know, 500-person crowd at the Hornet Nest to bring home the championship. And, you know, I think they're going to need that next week because I think it's going to be a cracking game. But yeah, look, it's always been a really good game against Portland. They have this, you know, Portland and Horsham men just have this, you know, spitfire that always plays for what's going to be a cracking game to watch. And, you know, you can never get rid of Portland. And by the look of that, they come back in the last quarter and, you know, really had a run at them. So, they've looked at, Aussie, Mitch Martin, Cody, even Matty Brown. He's been a really massive up and comer for Horsham here. I really rate his game. He's only young, and he's, stepped up into a predominant position in their team with a lot of their older bigs retiring. So it's been really great to see Brownie, step up and see what he's been able to achieve. But yeah, I'm pretty sure I spoke to Scotty briefly after the game, and he was so excited, and obviously now it's focusing on next week. So they just wanted to get over that and beat Portland, and then now they focus on bringing that championship home.
That's it. And you look at the Portland list, Nathan Hardingham having 24, Toby Jennings 15, Hayden Annette 14. They've been their key three players for the season, and they've performed. So it's not like they've had a shocker game. It's been a really good battle between the two teams.
And I see Toby Jennings managed to get fouled out again. So he won't. He's obviously a big part of their team. So I'm not sure at what point of the game that happened, but that probably could have impacted them as well, because defensively he's really, really good for them, as well as obviously putting points on the board. I haven't spoken to Coach Annette yet. I probably need to text him and say maybe it's me and you sitting there watching the grand final, having a drink, just commiserating the fact that we're losers on the sideline. But yeah, anyway, we'll see what happens. But yeah, he had to get out there and step up by the look of it. And yeah, Hardingham, I mean, he's had a ripping season, hasn't he? He's been one of the top, players all year. And, again, he's been able to consistently put up his 25 points a game. So, yeah, look, I'm sure they'll be disappointed with that. But again, they, jumped in at the end for finals, and they were able to compete, in that way, that put on such a great game. So they've really had a really good season.
That's it. So next weekend, we've got Horsham taking on the Mount Gambier Lakers in the men's grand final, 8 p.m. tip-off at Horsham Basketball Stadium. Now, it's going to be an exciting weekend of basketball coming up, and I look forward to jumping on a call with you later in the week when we get to preview what will be the Southwest Grand Finals. So for our fans, listeners, and everyone out there, stay tuned for that one, and we'll catch you later in the week.